Welcome to today's episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. My name is Adam Brsan.
And I'm Chris Smith.
If you've yet to do so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And if you love this podcast, don't forget to share it with a friend or colleague. We greatly appreciate your help and support.
All right, welcome into another special guest episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. Adam's obviously here with me today, but we also have Oscar Gonzalez here from Scale My Social, and we're going to spend the next 30 minutes kind of discussing what Scale My Social is, who it's right for, and how it benefits that person, and who it isn't a good fit for. Because although there are plenty of great programs out there, they're not always the fit for everybody. Adam, appreciate you being here with us today on your birthday, which is Valentine's Day, which I guess cancels each other out in the realm of holidays. And Oscar, thanks for being here as well. Oscar, tell us a little bit about your background in the business, and then we'll work our way into Scale My Social.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys having me on. And Adam, happy birthday.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, I hope it's a good one for you. So
I'm sure it'll be.
Yeah. Man, where do I start? I always kind of go back before I came into insurance. I've been in insurance for going on about 3 years. Actually, this will be the fourth year. At the end of this year will be the fourth year that I've been in insurance. I started as an agent, and prior to that, I was in e-com. I started an e-com business back in 2012. I started an e-com business with a buddy of mine, and we started this thing in a spare bedroom in my apartment at the time, and we grew this thing from there to about 7 million. We had 7 million a couple times in the span of the business, hitting 5,000 several times throughout that span, and it was all just selling products, consumer goods, apparel, and we were selling all of it, doing online ads, running paid ads, running affiliate marketing. And so I got a real close view, obviously, and understanding of social media and how to target people on social and how to get them to take action, obviously, to buy products that are more impulse buys than stuff that people actually need day to day, right? Just a lot of like knickknacks and stuff like that. So I learned how to do that. And in 2020, right before COVID, we sold out of the business, and I kind of sat around for a little bit. And, I have a lot of friends that in South Florida, which is where I'm from, that have been in insurance for many years and run pretty large agency operations in health and life. And so, I sat down with a good buddy of mine who said, "Hey, come on over and help me generate some leads. Let's see if I can shift and transfer over from the model that they were doing, which was call centers and, offshore, age data, that whole run, that whole operation." And so I came on as a media buyer and helped them kind of transition. And that gave me a real opportunity to see the operations of an agency, behind the scenes. And so that's really how I started. And then from there, I obviously very quickly saw the potential in the business and equally saw the need for good lead generation and the opportunity that lied. So I went, got all my licenses, and I initially started in health. That's really what I did. I wrote health. I was writing a lot of U65, then moved into ACA. And about probably like 6 months in, I started looking at different products that could help me cash flow. ACA, obviously a capital intensive process, and you got to have a lot of customers in the book for it to really be profitable. And so I was looking for supplemental products to cash flow the business, and Final Expense, was found, and I decided to go headfirst into it, man. And I was doing my own leads, obviously using a lot of video ads, the stuff that we do now on Facebook. And then one day I was talking to this is what really started everything, right? I was talking to my mother-in-law, and, she's 60 something years old. And this was 3 years ago now. And she was telling me how she was on TikTok looking at recipes for stuff. And it just like hit me, it was like, man, an older audience is starting to move into that platform. is there opportunity there? And I started running final expense ads on TikTok. And within 3 months, I did 22,000 month 1, 30 something month 2, and then top 40 month 3 and 4. And I just had figured it out, and I've always been someone that I believe in like presence and brand online. And so I did that. I started posting organic. I started putting out what I was doing, and that quickly brought agents and agency owners to me that said, hey, how the hell are you generating these leads? How are you doing this? And from there, opportunity just kind of knocked, right? It was just like agents kept coming to me asking like, hey, can you do this for me? Like, I want to work with you, but do you also help me with the leads? And I just saw a real need and a shift in the business from all the lead vendors and just all the stuff that's out there that we've all kind of been through in this business. And this business was born. I started, this business began just over, it'll be 2 years basically, that I launched the brand. And again, same thing. I was able to team up with some pretty large agencies out there in final expense, guys like David Duford, who, we've helped quite a bit. And from there, it just kind of exploded, right? The rest is just history. And now here we are today. We've helped, over 400 agents, in lead generation and lots of ad management, and just kind of building my way through this industry,
Well said. Now, I think the interesting thing is, let's just start really granular for the folks that are familiar with what a Facebook a lead is. Like, we've been buying Facebook leads for probably, I don't know, Adam, what, 5, 6, 7 years, right after avatar leads were made illegal. That's frustrating.
Yeah,
that was
I would say
lead.
so.
And since then, it was all static pictures of a coffin or pictures of like that stuff that would attract attention in that point in time. But a lot of what you're doing now, correct me if I'm wrong, it's more video-based ads where it's not a picture of a coffin, but it's some relatable person talking about it, just as if it was on TV. So what's the difference, or what kind of moved you in from static advertising into this video-based Facebook ads?
For me, it just came from e-com, because in e-com, it was the same transition just many years prior, right? The insurance industry is years behind an industry like e-com, right? In every aspect, right? Carriers, admin, just the whole process. And in e-com, we made that transition from product images, and that being the main focal point on how to sell, and then introducing short videos on products and the ability to showcase what a product can do, whether it was a kitchen item or whatever. And we instantly saw the reaction and the conversions go up, because now you're showing somebody what you can do with this. And when I moved into insurance, I had that same concept, right? Well, if it worked in e-com for a product, how could it not work to generate a lead? Obviously, I had to develop and really think about what's gonna be the difference, right? Because if I can't show a coffin, or I can't show, the family mourning, crying, like, what's gonna deliver that message better? And so that's what I thought. And I went to the drawing board, and I really thought of a storyline, right? Which is used in most big videos that you see out there on social media, which is, really strong hook, right? How do I capture somebody that's scrolling on a social media platform and is not looking for insurance or a kitchen, item or whatever? And so strong hook right into pain points, right? What's causing that person? What can really prevent that person or cause that person a pain point by not protecting their family in this case, right? Like, what happens if you die tomorrow and your family has to come up with $10,000, $15,000 in a few hours? And focusing on those things, right? Just hitting and harping on that, and then delivering the solution, right? Final expense plans, affordable, no medical exams, all the key points, and taking that person through that kind of storyline that it's an emotional sale already, right? As we know, it's something that, it's not a price driven sale. The more you can connect with these folks out there and really deliver pain points and the need for this type of product, the better you're gonna be as a salesperson or as an agent. So that's what I did, and so the videos, are very structured around that message. They're very direct in comparison to a lot of the ads that were and still run out there, the bait and switch kind of stuff and the funds and state stuff. So I took a different approach, and I went straight for it. And I think that was one of the main things in the beginning of this business that really set us apart from the rest of the stuff that's out there right now. Obviously, people have caught on to what we've been doing and have been replicating and doing it. The interesting thing is that it's such a large industry that I'm a tiny little piece in comparison to the marketplace out there, right? So there's still a tremendous amount of opportunity out there for everybody. So that's what we did. I built a system around that, right? Really based on video ads, delivering a straightforward message, and having a lead system that not just fills out information, but also has other components, right? Which we'll talk about, nurturing and funnels and all that other stuff.
I'm going to ask that one in just a minute, but I'm going to throw this question to Adam so he can discuss it with you while I check to make sure the dogs aren't eating my couch. Adam, you talked a lot about, you've worked a lot of different Facebook leads from a lot of different vendors that will remain nameless. And I'm sure some of them have more intention than others, but maybe share your thoughts on working Facebook leads, some that were great, some that weren't, and what your thoughts are as an individual agency owner and producer, potentially working these video-based ads instead.
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit about that with, it seems like my experience in the past with Facebook leads has been so much of it with the vendor wanting to make a profit. So they want to get as many leads out there as possible. And usually what that means, I've done orders where I'll place a lead order and let's say I order 30 leads and I'll place an order and within 3 or 4 hours, all 30 of those leads will be in. And whenever that happens, other agents might be all excited, wow, they really generated those leads quickly for me. But to me, that just tells me that there had to have been something that was just kind of generic in that ad where everybody's clicking it, everybody's filling in their information, and they have no idea what they're even committing to. Where I've worked other leads where I might order 30 leads and it takes a whole week to be able to receive all 30 leads. And to me, well, kind of the opposite. That tells me that it was more of a advertisement that was maybe more direct, more straightforward. People knew exactly what it was that they were filling out. And to me, that's what I want. I want quality over quantity. And if I got to wait a week to get all my leads, well, I would rather work a bunch of high intent leads than just a bunch of garbage where I'm running around all over the place and people have no idea what they're even doing.
Agreed. Yeah. I think, I'll just say, to that it's interesting. And that's a point that I don't think agents really think about. Right. And until you said it, was like, oh, yeah, that's an interesting take on it. Right. Where when these leads come in so fast, right, there's something that's making these people click through quickly that's baiting them right into just coming in. And part of the problem, right, is that the lead vendors are motivated strictly on the profit they can make on a lead, right, and the upsell of that lead. So that creates a real gray area in that industry.
So that leads to the next question perfectly. Why not just be a lead vendor? Why not just be the next competitor in the lead vending space? Sell high intent Facebook, final expense, and Medicare leads and put up a whole page and compete with all the other players in the market. Why did you take a different approach in the marketing structure that you use?
I've just been in business long enough and have controlled my own marketing long enough to understand the real benefits of that piece in just about any sustainable long-term business. I think as business owners, we know the waves and the challenges that we all face, right? And there's enough of them out there as it is. And so if you can get to a place where you actually control the marketing, control the messaging, control the data now more than ever, right? Years ago, that wasn't even a thing, but now controlling the data of the people that are seeing who you are and leveraging those paid ads that you are buying to build your presence and to build your brand online, that's the ultimate, piece that I think most new agents aren't far enough to see just yet, right? And in most cases, agencies are hiring and it's a template, right? Contract, go buy leads here, get on the phones, right? And then you either get spit out one end or you're making it on the other end, and that's rinse and repeat. And I think that's where most agents fall. And so for me, it was clear, right? I bought leads when I first came into insurance to understand what was out there. And I mentioned obviously being a media buyer. And so I knew from that, seeing these massive players that are out there selling leads and the churn that these big companies out there do, because I worked with an agency that was buying hundreds of thousands of pieces of data from large companies. And those companies would generate the lead 7 days before, 2 weeks before, sell it to one agent exclusively. Then 5 days later, sell it to 5 agents as a shared lead. Then 2 weeks later, sell it as an age data to this guy. And it was just like, man, this is what a racket that we're seeing here. And what's interesting is the resilience, right? The fact that even though all of that happened, people were still making money, right? Like in that process of selling a lead and monetizing one name and number, many people actually did make money, and so for me, it's always been that's always been the motivation. How can I help people do the same thing that's helped me be successful in e-com, prior to that in the real estate business, and just about everything that I've done. So that was the real motivator.
Questions, Adam? I want to go into what Scale My Social is for the viewing audience, but before we kind of dissect a little bit or discuss his business, anything you wanted to throw his way about Facebook marketing?
No, that was actually kind of what I was thinking. We talked a little bit about it, but yeah, just kind of curious exactly. So I know you're not just generating leads and selling them. It sounds like there's a lot more to it than just that. So yeah, I'm interested in learning a little bit too about, kind of like how your whole program works.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that for me, that again, the other part of this is like the lead is not everything, right? As agents, we need leads to be able to have opportunities to sell, but there's other components. And I say this a lot on social media, like I don't have a secret out here, right? I'm not doing anything that somebody else can't do. I've just built a system and it's worked. And now I understand how to repeat that process for other agents. But it takes an army, right, to be successful in this business. It's leads, it's the activity, it's the discipline that the agent comes to the table with. It's the skill that they develop as salespeople to convert these leads. Man, it's the mindset, because even the leads that we generate, you still get people that don't pick up the phone, right? Or you still get people that say, oh, well, I didn't fill this out, even though 2 seconds ago I have your IP address and like when you did it. And so it's a combination of things out here. And so my goal was to not just sell an ad management or a lead generation system. It's to really explain, and we do that in the process with every agent, right? Like, hey, we can help you generate leads, but in addition to that, like you have to understand the level of commitment that you have to do and the level of activity that you need to do to really be successful. And we'll give you the tools, but it's ultimately that agent that has to go out and produce and do the work, so to speak.
So for those watching, Scale My Social isn't a lead vendor where you can go on and buy 20 Facebook leads for Monday. It's an ad management company. And Oscar, just so those folks can clearly understand, who's a good candidate for your kind of a program?
For us, it's those people that the ideal person is someone that's been in the business, right, already for a few months. They've bought leads. They know how to convert, right? They have their sales process down, their presentation down. They've actually made some money. And now it's just makes sense for them to build this piece out of their business to continue the journey and growing. So I say this all the time too on social media, like not everybody should go into lead generation, right? Some new agents that still need to learn the sales process, that still need training and like understanding of what this business is about. That's probably not the ideal client to go add another piece to the puzzle that they need to like worry about and figure out. So I do think that there's a real place for lead vendors, right? And obviously that's clear because they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, it's truly that person that has made a few bucks, has it down, and it's like, okay, what else can I do to become more efficient? What else can I do to add money to the bottom line? What else can I do to build more foundational pieces to my agency or to my business and allow it to grow? So that's who we have the best results with, right? Those people that have the discipline, know that they need to show up when those leads come in, hit them hard, do the work required, you know?
Yeah. And it's not an overnight process. I think part of the problem that agents have in this industry is they're in a one call close bubble, and that's what they're taught, and that's what they have to do to survive. But to grow a business, you can't have a one call close mentality about growing your business progressively over time. So when I made the decision to reinvest in our agency's reinvest our agency and use your program, it didn't all of a sudden next week be fully operational. It takes time to test this and try that and update this and tweak that and roll it out in a controlled manner. So I think those that are watching need to understand, because there's haters out there that said Oscar didn't move fast enough. Stuff doesn't happen instantly when you're trying to implement big projects in a business.
Yeah, well, and it's such a good point, right? Like I'll tell you two points to that. One, when you're buying leads from an established lead vendor, right, they're obviously marketing on social media. That's where the leads are coming from 95% of the time. Now, what's the difference? Well, the difference is that lead vendor has spent, in some cases, millions of dollars in paid ads to build those audiences, right? If we take Facebook as an example, what you're doing, what becomes an asset when you create these systems are the audiences within them, right? Facebook and the algorithm get better and better at understanding who to target for you and who's most likely to convert not just into a lead, but ultimately into a paying customer. And it takes money to build that. And the same thing happens in e-com, right? Like when we sold in e-com, one of the key points in valuation for the business was our audiences within social media, right? How long have these audiences been built? How much money has run through them? How many sales have run through them? And that became a big part of valuation for that business. And it's no different here, right? So that's part one. And so, yeah, it takes time to build those things. And that's why it's not for everybody, right? It is for an established agent that one has the investment to make and is able to continue doing what they're doing as we're building this thing out for them.
Yeah.
I'll also mention a quick thing that you said that's so important, the one call close mentality, right? Just yesterday, I was with a client, a large agency client, and we did a look back on data. And the look back was trying to determine how much of your sales that you're going to capture off of every batch of leads that you buy come on the first call or the second call or the third call or a time frame. And what most data, and I saw this yesterday, and I've seen it several times now with large agencies and lots of data, that just about 50% of your sales are actually not coming from that one call close, right? They're coming within the first 90 days of that lead being in your hands, right? So if you're a closer that's doing 10% closing rate on your leads, you're not going to get 100% of that 10% in that first week that you got that batch, right? You're probably going to close 30, 40% that first week, and then another percentage the following week, and then the following week. And we hear it all the time. Agents go, man, I called this lead from 2 months ago and I got a deal, which is why age data still has a place in this world, right? Because some people, consumers, it takes time, right? They might not buy the first time. They might not buy the second time. They might need to talk to 10 people and get bombarded with calls for 2 weeks. And then the calls stop. And then you hit them a month later and it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm ready. I've spoken to enough people to know what's really out there. And now I'm ready to kind of pull the trigger. So that's so important for agents that are out there listening. And you've got to have a system that you're either touching these leads up to, and where we found a precipitous drop is month 4, right? So after month 4 of the lead, that's when you really see a drop in the ability to convert. So that means you have 120 days where you should be thinking about, how can I continue to engage with this lead through automation, through email, through SMS? Because I know that within those 4 months, I have a real shot at actually capturing a sale from that lead. So it's not just about a one call. That's 100% correct.
Adam, I think one of the things that separates you from others, because there's a small separation between average producing agents and the elite. And it's not good looks, it's not comp, it's not carrier selection. It's things like investment, work ethic, persistency, patience. One of the things you do is you're up early and you work late, both in the field and on the business. And Oscar and I were on a Google Meets until probably 10:15 last night, trying to troubleshoot and brainstorm ideas to help our businesses mutually. So I think for those watching, Adam, maybe speak to it. Do you think that work ethic and time invested separates you from other agency owners and producers in this business?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that, well, of course, the lead investment is important and being consistent with it and always having new people to see on a regular basis. But no, I've always said work ethic is key. I mean, if you could buy as many leads as you want, but if you're not putting the time in, you're going to be wasting your money. You're not going to get nearly as good of results as that person that's willing to get out there at 9 a.m. and sometimes not get home until 9 o'clock at night.
Yep.
I mean, even over the phone, I'm sure it's the same thing. I mean, the agents that are selling over the phone, I would say probably the best agents selling over the phone are those that are licensed across the country, where they can even work later when they're calling people like out in California and stuff like that. People where it might be 9 o'clock out by you, Chris. Well, it's only 6 o'clock in California.
Yeah.
Heck, you could work until 11, 12 o'clock at night if you really wanted to.
Well said. Oscar, do you think there's an important piece of the puzzle that we're about to roll out to our agency that's slowly being put together piece by piece until I'm sure it's perfect, or as close to perfect as you get? And that's the CRM. That's the automations and the AI integrations and the conversations that the CRM is having with the lead as the lead is brought into the funnel. So do you think if somebody's buying, even if they're just buying Facebook leads from some vendor, that they should be using some type of a CRM integrated with that lead journey and to be able to get the best results?
Every time. Yeah, every time. I think at this point, in where we are right now in business, I think if you're not using the small exception that I would still consider is maybe a face-to-face agent. But even those guys, I think now are starting to see the benefits, and you guys have a real system in place already for those agents. But like a telesales agent, man, if you don't have a CRM, if you don't have something that's helping you engage with every single lead, you're losing deals to me, right? And to every agent that we're helping out there, because we're doing those things, and so where business is, where competition is, requires you to play at that level. And if you're not, you're leaving money on the table, right? You're losing deals left and right. You're not organized, because a CRM, obviously, number one, organizes, right? And helps you maintain a good system of who have I called? Who do I need to follow up with? How many times have I called this lead? Should I call it again? All these things that when you start doing volume, you're not going to be able to keep up mentally, right? You're focused on just pitching and dialing and that thing. So you got to have a system. And I think now where, we talk AI, right? Like where this thing is scary, right? It really is, right? Like the texting came a few years ago and it was like, wow, look at this. This is incredible. But now where things are, right? Where I am 2 days ago, I was on a call and testing AI voice, right? And a system that can dial 100 leads in like 20 minutes, right? And talk to the person. And I saw a campaign that ran for an hour and 10 minutes. And in that hour and 10 minutes, this AI voice booked 26 appointments for an agent that does mortgage protection, had 13 follow-ups, had a bunch of no's, right? Because no's are good too. You can't get to yeses until you get to no's. And if you're not getting enough no's, then you don't have enough people to talk to. And so it got the no's clear out of the way, and it did it in an hour and 10 minutes, right? The same thing that would take an appointment setter or a person, which you and I were talking about appointment setters last night. Mm-hmm. Man, an AI agents in the next 24 months will absolutely change this business and any sales industry out there. It's coming.
I figured out how to get my schedule filled up, Chris.
Yeah.
It's scary. I mean, Adam, I was sitting in a home on Tuesday, and I was sitting in a home, and the person was getting bombarded with calls and texts because the thing's out of control right now. Like there was some value in the one-to-one consent concept, right, so that Mabel isn't being bombarded 82 times a day because she clicked on an ad 6 years ago. Yeah. It's a little insane out there in their defense. And that's why it's hard for us to get on the phone, because our freaking phone doesn't stop ringing from people buying rebought, aged, instant internet leads. So, but Adam, I'm in this home. I'm dizzy as all hell. Like vertigo is getting me, but I'm going to get the dollar. And I swear to God, an AI appointment setter calls this person, and I could hear it. Like, a 72-year-old with a little bit of hearing difficulty that doesn't understand AI doesn't get it. But I'm like, Mabel, that's a robot. Please hang up so we can get back on track. It's already happening. And maybe our appointment setters will move towards personal assistance at that point. Mm-hmm. But we got to stay we got to stay with the curve as the resources in this industry continue to grow. That's how I see it.
Yeah. What's interesting is what I hadn't understood was what happens, right? Because you always hear this thing like, oh, AI is going to replace us and humans, and like, no, it's not, right? Like maybe like hundreds of years, right? But man, the way I saw this, and I was clear as day. So now you don't need an appointment setter, but you do need someone to manage that campaign, right? And turn off and turn on and make sure and change the messaging and work with the bot. And so you're exactly right. That person that was your appointment setter now becomes an assistant that oversees an AI campaign, right? And delegates when it turns on and when it turns off, and tells it kind of what to do, because that'll be a thing that an agent doesn't need to do, right? Because that's what a VA will essentially move to. And that's what I saw. I saw this agent, he doesn't run the AI, his VA runs the AI, right? And so she knew more about the system than he did. He was just like, I don't know how this is happening, but man, look at this. And literally it was 26 appointments in an hour and 10 minutes. And this lady was like, I used to make these calls, right? And she's like, and now I don't have to make these calls. Like it's a win-win, right? Because at the end of the day, no one wants to sit there and be an appointment setter, right? And so if we can train people to now run AI, then that person is also leveling up their skill, right? They're no longer just a telemarketer. They bring a lot of value to the table in learning that skill set. So it's interesting how the cycle of things work.
Well said. We're getting right to that 30, 35-minute mark. Adam, any closing thoughts, questions you want to toss Oscar's way?
No, I'm just laughing because, him talking about the AI and, how the old people don't really can't really tell whether it's like a real person or not.
Yeah.
Like the day after the Super Bowl, there was a video out there that my dad sent me, and it was Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes is like, being like real cocky and talking about how his offensive line lost the game for him and how Andy Reid should probably quit and like all this other stuff. And my dad's like my dad sent it to me like, can you believe Patrick Mahomes would say stuff like that? Can you believe he thinks Andy Reid should quit? And I'm like, Dad, that was an AI video. And like, he had no idea. Like, I have family out in Kansas City. My dad's probably texted him this video like, Patrick Mahomes is a real jerk. And like, it wasn't even, it was just a fake. But that's the thing, my dad, he's 68 years old. I mean, I don't think a lot of the older people kind of see where the technology has gone. Like, he had no idea that was like a fake video. But that's where I could see even like phone calls like that. People aren't going to be able to tell the difference.
I mean, just the change between avatar leads and an AI appointment setting that we're going to watch take place over basically a 5-year horizon. Yeah. Oscar, I remember buying avatar leads from Dave Duford, and it was a Filipino behind a soundboard pushing different pre-recorded messages. And God bless the folks overseas working overnight for us here in America, living fat and happy. And Mabel would say, I'm not interested. Button 6. Well, that's all right. He's not interested either. And why that was illegal, I don't know, because that's about to come full circle. But boy, watching this industry grow and adapt to technology, while there are still folks trying to fill out paper applications and fax them in, it's a huge wave of change that we've all experienced the last couple of years. We're grateful for what you brought into the industry, what you brought to our channel today. We'll make sure to have your contact information available in the video for those that want to work with Scale My Social. And our agency is excited to work with you, continue to slowly build out the right program for the right kind of agent, and even get into the editing and social media marketing angle over the coming days and weeks ahead. Oscar, thanks for being here. Adam, happy birthday. And for those of you watching today, interact with the video or you're a butthole.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
And this concludes another episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend or colleague. And if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please leave those too. Any input is greatly appreciated. Thank you.